Woo! All right, I'm psyched, I'm ready. Let's get into it, let's get started. Let's talk about this movie, shall we? Cue the music. Hey everybody, how's it going? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back. And for today, I'm coming at you with a little movie called Mosul, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is not to be confused with another movie that's called Mosul that was a documentary in 2019. That's not what this movie is. This movie is an actual written movie with a structured narrative to it. And boy, did they write the hell out of this movie, because yeah. And I'm sure you guys could tell by my complete lack of enthusiasm that I am real psyched to talk about this movie. In the overall plot of the film, it follows this young police officer in the city of Mosul, which I believe is the second largest city in Iraq, if I remember correctly. But this police officer gets recruited by a super elite kind of rogue SWAT team, and it basically just follows all of the trials, tribulations that this kid kind of experiences. And generally what this SWAT team does is they just kill members of ISIS, and they're trying to drive them just completely out of the city. And they have a term for ISIS members. I believe it's called the Daesh or the Daesh, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna refer to ISIS as the Daesh, because to be honest, it's slightly better for the YouTube algorithm, so why not? But anyway, the kicker about this SWAT team is that they have killed so many members of the Daesh that they honestly can't even be taken prisoner anymore. Because normally when the Daesh will capture somebody, they'll try to convert them and try to radicalize them and get them to join, to try and join their side. But the thing about this SWAT team is that they are so hardcore, they are so brutal, and they've killed so many members of the Daesh that they will not be taken prisoner. Like they're just too dangerous to be kept alive. So basically what that means is that this rogue SWAT team does not play, and the movie does a very good job of telegraphing that to you after they kind of tell you about it in the opening crawl. And this movie, you guys, it is just fantastic on literally every single level. I cannot express to you guys how psyched I am to recommend this movie to people, provided that you can stand the subtitles, because unfortunately, if I remember what I saw, I don't think there's an English dubbed version of it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but believe me when I tell you guys, even if you don't like subtitles, trust me, this time around, they're worth it. It doesn't really have the same plot, but this is kind of a Middle Eastern version of Saving Private Ryan, and it's on that level of filmmaking, in my opinion. And I really shouldn't be surprised, because the movie was directed by Joe Carnahan's brother. And if you don't know who Joe Carnahan is, he directed The Grey, and that is the most slept-on action movie I have ever seen. But either way, Matthew Carnahan is generally known as a writer. Like, he did some script work on World War Z, 21 Bridges, a few other movies, and now he just tried his hand at directing, and boy, was that the right choice. The action scenes were great. The pacing was very good. The cinematography and the camera angles really made you feel like you were in the zone, with all the action taking place. Which brings me to my next point. The action scenes are super just visceral and in your face, and they're straight up just brutal. But you know what? That brutality was kind of necessary, in my opinion, so that you and I can kind of understand the struggle and the pain and the hardship that some of these people have to go through on a nearly constant basis, and it's just heartbreaking sometimes. And I read a couple articles that were critical of this movie saying that there was no character depth, and I'm like, what the movie did you watch? Because that's not the movie that I saw at all. And it is true, some of the characters were kind of forgettable, or you don't really remember their names, but that doesn't matter, because the point of this movie is about camaraderie, it's about the mission, it's about trying to accomplish something, and it's about trying to rebuild. And also, to be quite frank, some of the characters are a little expendable, and it tries to just convey that reality to you. So in that aspect, I think less character work was actually more in this particular instance. But it doesn't matter, because as long as you have at least one central character that you can attach yourself to and connect with, then that's really all that matters. And not only did I really care about the main character in the movie, but the kind of the head of the unit, the captain, I guess you could say, I really respected his character by the end of the film. He may not be the coolest character in the world, he may not be the most diplomatic character in the world, he might not seem like the most likable character in the world, but it's very clear that he tries to do the right thing, and that's important. And you can tell he tries to do the right thing because every little place that they have a little skirmish, he picks up every bit of trash that he can, even though the entire city is in ruins. But it doesn't matter. This guy knows that baby steps. It starts with baby steps. You have to rebuild. Which brings me to another interesting point. They mention Americans, but they point out the fact that they'll just either napalm or firebomb everything because they don't care. It's not their land. So they have a completely different dynamic. And another good thing was the music. Because a lot of times they didn't use music because that kind of took away from the reality of it. But the few times that they did, it worked so well. It was just, it was expertly done. And although I don't know what the actual dialogue of the film is, because I don't speak either Arabic or Farsi, I'm not sure what the native language is, but all the dialogue that I read in the subtitles, there was no fluff in there. I could say that about most of the movie, actually. There was not an ounce of fat on it. Every scene has like character development, or its action scene, or its tension, or it's just, there's something to be had in almost every scene of the movie. I'm trying to rack my brain to think of a scene that was pointless, and I can't think of one. And when I say there wasn't an ounce of fat on it, I literally mean that. And they took that to the point where you don't actually know what the direct mission is that they're trying to carry out. Because the new recruit, I believe his name is Kawa in the movie, they don't actually tell him what their direct mission is, because the movie only takes place over the course of a few days, I think. But the kid keeps asking them questions over and over again, and they're just like, we'll tell you what you need to know, but that's all you're ever gonna know, because we don't know if we can trust you yet. And that was a dope f***ing choice that they went with, because even as the audience member, you're curious. You're just like, this is intriguing. Like, why are they not telling him? Like, are these guys secretly bad, or like, what's going on right there? And sometimes I'll rag on a movie if there's a plot hole or something that wasn't explained, but you know what? You really didn't need to know. So it added this element of mystery to it without, like, you know, fawning over what we need to do and how it needs to happen. Like, it kind of just takes you along for the ride, and it was brilliant. And the very last thing I'll say is that the absolute final line of dialogue in this movie, it almost made me cry. It was so perfect. It was well-timed, it was well-placed, it wasn't tacky, it didn't feel disingenuous, it was perfect. It could not have been more perfect. But anyway, guys, I can't stress enough how wonderful of an experience I had watching this movie, and how meaningful it was, and how it just, it's awesome. But anyway, overall, for a score out of 10, I might take it down eventually, but right now it's sitting pretty high. I'm gonna give it a 9.6 out of 10. I sincerely implore anybody out there, if you can stand the subtitles, I highly, highly recommend this movie. It was very good. It was a very good experience. It was really cathartic. I honestly can't talk up enough of a game about this. Just go see it. Just watch it. Trust me. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm really curious to hear. Have you seen this movie? Have you even heard of it? Hop in the comments and let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other YouTube-y type of shenanigans, and I will catch you guys next time.